then you can really start pouring into your people and developing those people. Because the faster you can develop your team, the faster you can pull yourself out of that role.
Everyone always asks, money can't buy you happiness. Money can't buy you happiness. You're right, it can't. You know, money's a fucking tool to get you to be happy.
You cannot demand respect, bro. And you have to earn respect. I don't give a shit who you are. If you're running a team of any sort, you cannot demand respect, dude.
Yeah. Feeling that they have to be involved in all of it to see the vision, to make the future vision. But like in reality, you can't see a vision if you don't have time for it, right?
And if I'm not holding you accountable because you're not holding yourself accountable, how the fuck are you gonna hold them accountable and they take you seriously?
Legacy is your fucking thing, right? Legacy is Steve. When I think of legacy, I think of Steve. Like, what does that word mean to you? Like, what does legacy mean? So yeah, man, just kind of touch out a little more about, you know, you said you and your wife have been together for about 21 years, right? Now, would you say that like she played a big pivotal role in your life as far as you progressing and getting to that next level?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, she, looking back in, you know, in the past and where we are in the present, she's always like kept me grounded, you know? And like we were talking about earlier, it's like she never gave up on me, even when I was like wanting to give up on myself.
Yeah.
And this is even before business, you know, this is when I was working on the oil fields and doing underground construction and everything like that, you know, before I was anything, you know, before, you know, I was making a name for myself. I was obviously going the exact opposite direction, and she's always just stuck by my side and, you know, saw the positive in me and everything like that. And like, just knew that as long as she stuck by me, you know, that I would make that turn for the better eventually. And I finally did. You know, it took me many years, but I eventually grew up, you know, and I'm still growing up right now. But yeah, she's definitely she's been my rock for sure. Like if it wasn't for her, who knows where I would be, you know?
And so, you know, I guess that really like falls into our first portion, you know what I mean? Just talk about your foundation, right?
Yeah.
Like where you started at, you know, and you know, how you even got there, you know? So, you know, like you've built 6 businesses, right? 6 businesses.
I'm operating 6 now. I built probably 12 over the years, but I've exited out of a few didn't work out,
Okay.
so on and so forth. But right now, currently, I'm operating 6.
And so, I mean, that's a lot, even still 12, you know, and 6 being, you know, that's 50%. That's still a lot, right? What is it that you understand about business that most people just aren't getting?
So a lot of entrepreneurs and operators, like they're very hard workers, right? Like we grind for sure. Like we're not afraid of hard work. We'll put our heads down and go. We wear all the different hats. The big separator for me is like once I started realizing that I can only get to a certain level wearing all those hats myself is when I really started developing not only the lead of it. First, I developed all my systems first. I realized that like I had to get everything out of my head and onto paper, you know, like SOPs, job roles, responsibilities, org chart, all that type of stuff, because I needed to get that out of my head. So then that way I could properly train people as they came on, right?
Yeah.
Because if you have all that in your head and you're wearing all the different hats, which you have to as you're building a company, but as you start onboarding and bringing more and more people onto your team, you don't want people coming up and asking you how to do X, Y, and Z, right? So once I identified that like, okay, I'm going to start scaling up, I need to get all this information out of my head so that way I can start training people. That's like when everything kind of started opening up, you know, because you can only scale so much if you don't have, not everything documented is just everything to where you can train your people properly, right? So once you're able to get all that knowledge out there and on paper or on whatever type of software you're using, training software, then you can really start pouring into your people and developing those people. Because the faster you can develop your team, the faster you can pull yourself out of that role.
Yeah.
You know? And so I started my first business in 2008, just as like as a side deal, like a side project. I was working 7 days on the oil fields for Neighbors Oil Drilling, and then my 7 days off, I would come home and I was volunteering for Cal Fire at the time. So I'd work 14-hour days on the oil field, really out there for 17 hours with pre and post hour meetings, worked 12 straight hours, 7 days straight, come home. And then I was helping my boss, ex-boss at the time, do some landscaping at his house for his 50th birthday. And a local company came and dropped off tables and chairs. And I remember I unloaded the truck for him. I signed the bill and it was $1,100. And I'm like, where the fuck you just pay $1,100 for this shit? It was like shitty ass chairs, bunk ass umbrellas, like just everything was beat up. So I went down. It wasn't even Google at the time. I don't know. I internet searched it, however I did. Yahoo. You're in maybe dial up. I didn't fucking tell back in 2008. And then I found a chair distributor, a table distributor down in Long Beach, California. So I bought a trailer, an enclosed trailer, drove all the way down to Long Beach, bought 20 round tables, 200 classic folding chairs, threw them in my enclosed trailer, wrapped it with Party Partners Rental. That was like my first business, was called Party Partners Rental. Mind you, I was 21 at the Sky. I don't know, we're at party. And then I would park it down at the local parking lot, Vaughn's in Atascadero, and people would just hit me up and I'd drop off little tables and chairs to their quinceañeras and backyard parties and everything. Yeah, so that's how it all started.
Opportunity.
Yeah. I saw a need. I'm like, and it was easy because it was a weekend deal. You know, at that time it was easy because I'm just delivering a couple tables and chairs. And it was a weekend deal, so it worked perfectly into my schedule. The weeks on the oil field, I'd have my buddies deliver a couple tables and chairs when I was gone. That all the money that I got back or that I made off of those little backyard parties, I just kept dumping into the business, buying different tables, different chairs, and started expanding that way.
And so at what point did you realize, like, okay, I need to pull away from the oil a bit. I need to pull away from, because were you still volunteering for CAL FIRE at that point?
Yeah.
Okay. When did you realize, like, okay, I need to pull away from those and put more of my time and energy into this event, company?
Yeah, so it was late 2009. I quit the oil fields, focused on firefighting full time.
Okay.
Or I went into the Firefighter One Academy. CAL FIRE sponsored me to put me through the 9-month academy.
Wow.
So I went through that academy, which is crazy because I didn't even graduate high school. I flunked out of high school and shit. Like, I hated school. It was terrible. And because I was so interested in firefighting, I graduated number 6 in my class, just because I had a passion for that. And so 2010 hit and I was supposed to get picked up for a part-time position, basically seasonal plus a few months after season.
Mm-hmm.
But in 2010, they did all those budget cuts in California. So they started cutting all the budgets to fire, police, all that stuff. So they told me, come back next year. I was still volunteering at the time, but come back next year, you'll have a seasonal position, hopefully. So that's when I made the decision. I was like, dude, I've been doing this for 5 fucking years now, like volunteering in PCF, paid call firefighting for the fire department. Like, now I've been in my Party Partners Rental for 2 years. I had enough like events each weekend to where I'm like, I could fucking just focus on this full time or keep dabbling in it. So I quit everything, quit CAL FIRE, sold all my shit, sold my trucks, motorcycles, whatever I had. And I went all in on my business. And then 2010, at the end of 2010, I bought out a glassware company called All About Tabletops. So they had all the plates and the forks and knives, glasses. And then I bought that company out, merged Party Partners with All About Tabletops. That's where I got the All About events, because now I was doing not just tabletop rentals, because she had been in business for about 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing, kind of older lady, just doing it on the side, but she had built a great reputation here locally in Paso Robles in San Luis Obispo County. And I built a relationship with her, just supplying some rentals to her throughout the year. So that's how I made that connection. I met her, actually, I remember first time I met her was at Hopelo Winery. I was delivering a dance floor, and she was delivering all the tabletop stuff. Started talking with her. She was super impressed with my dance floor because how clean it was. I had one of the first all-surface dance floors, like you put on grass or sand or anything like that in our area. So she was all pumped up on that. Little did she know, her fucking brand new, literally gets her mouse fox shit. Like, oh yeah, I keep this clean all the time, And so I built a relationship with her, worked with her for a season or two till she wanted out. So I made her an offer, bought her out, created the All About events.
Dude, that is, and it just took patience, right? I mean, patience is everything. And I guess that's where I see the biggest bottleneck, I guess, in this time, in this age, is that everybody wants it so quick, so fast, right? I mean, I could speak on that too. I had a cleaning company before, and it I was just trying to do it so quick and so fast that I messed up on so many different areas, right? And so would you say like that's a big thing you have to have when you're starting a business? Like even if it's a side hustle, just keep it going for a couple of years
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
without scaling?
yeah. Yeah, I mean, just to get your name out there, especially with all the noise right now and social media and everybody having different companies, this and that, like to cut through all that noise, yes, you have to have patience, but like Andy Frisella, like one of the dudes that I don't know him, I haven't met him, first form Andy Frisella. He's a badass anyways. He's built an amazing company. But he says I said it a little bit differently, but he says it perfectly. It's called aggressive patience. You need to be aggressive, but also be patient, at the same time.
Yeah.
You got to go, but you have to understand that it is going to take time, that you don't use that as an excuse to let off the gas. You got to like keep pushing forward, but understand that you will get to that point if you keep pushing. If you let off the gas, then it's going to take even longer.
That's super helpful, man. I haven't even heard of that before. Aggressive patience.
Aggressive patience. And then my big thing is like my wife will tell you I'm the most persistent motherfucker ever. Not pushy persistent, but like I will stay. If you tell me you're gonna do something, like I'm gonna stay on top of you, right? And that was like, I guess leads into kind of to tie up that first question of like how I was able to build these companies is basically like every business is or in different industries are different, but the structure and the systems and the accountability, that's all the same. You know what I mean? So you have to be able to hold people accountable. You have to be persistent in your pursuit, right? Like when I delegate something out to my team, like I can't just go over here and assume it's going to get done. Like you have to delegate efficiently and effectively. So I use task management programs to where, because running 6 different companies with really, I have 3 different leadership teams. 2 of my companies are just me, my business consulting and coaching and mentoring and stuff like that. And my other ones, I have leadership teams to where, when you delegate out a task, and that's the only way I'm able to run these companies efficiently from the outside. I'm not involved in the day-to-day operations at all in any one of my companies anymore. I'm able to do that because of the delegation that I've learned and the accountability that I have over my leadership teams and the standard that they hold themselves to because of what I implemented when I was involved in the day-to-day.
You set the pace.
Yeah, set the pace, and I set those standards like mission, values, and like I know we all talk about mission, values, and vision of the company. It's not just a fucking poster on the wall, dude. Like people need to understand that like you live and die by the mission and values of your company. And if you don't like them, change them. But you have to believe in them yourself. If you don't believe in them, you're never going to get anywhere. You'll have a company, you'll have a business, but you'll never be able to develop a team that can take that business and run with it for you if you don't have those mission and values that actually are true to you as the business owner. And you have to get buy-in from your team. You know what I mean?
And so do you have your team help you with those mission and values so they can share the same type of motivation that you do?
No, I mean, okay, that's a good question because when I developed the mission and values for the first time in 2015 is when I started in 2008, went all in 2010. It wasn't until 2015, 16 when I really hired my first business coach. And they're the ones that are like, dude, what's your mission and value? I'm like, I don't know. I'm fucking just 90.
Grind hard?
Because I went from 20 round tables, 200 plastic folding chairs to 2015, 16, I had 35 employees, 5 trucks doing, 15 events a weekend. And I was just scaling, they opened my eyes, collaboration. Now the San Luis, they're the first ones that opened my eyes to like, this is how important it is, because at that time, I wasn't reading like leadership books. I wasn't reading business books. I was a fucking dropout and an oil field guy. I was just grinding. I can outgrind everybody, dude, for sure. And that's why and I thought that's what it took, is just work harder, but once I understood how important that was, and how much time and energy it really took me to put my mission and values down that I actually believed in, took me over 2 months, dude. Like really thinking about it over and over, putting them on my wall, looking at them. Do they resonate with me? How do they resonate with me? Okay, those ones don't work, But once you land on those ones that actually you truly believe in as the CEO, as the owner, then you have to get the buy-in from your team, because if you truly believe in them, it's easy to sell it to your team. You know what I mean? But if you don't believe in it, you're not going to be able to sell that to your team.
Exactly.
And so, really getting them bought in on what the mission and the values of All About Events and my other companies was huge, And now that I'm not part of the day-to-day operations in any of the companies, they still have their daily and weekly meetings, and they touch on a core value every single week.
That's good. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
And they do that I told them that first. No, but now they've taken that and they made it their own.
Yeah.
Right? They don't do it exactly the same way I did or used to do. But the bottom line is they do it, And, it's not that they memorize every single line of below the core values, but they know the core values, and they believe in them, and that another good thing about having a good mission and core values is that that's not only your beacon and your guiding light, but if there are any ever issues with your employees, you could call them in and be like, hey, were you living right? Core value number 1, accountability.
That's good.
You showed up late 2 days in a row. Is that really holding yourself accountable? Because your whole team's watching you and they're going to start picking up on, if I'm not holding you accountable because you're not holding yourself accountable, how the fuck are you going to hold them accountable and them take you seriously,
That's key, dude. Instead of just coming at them, hey, why are you late again? Or don't be late again. It's no, hey, look, we all have a goal here. We all have something in plan. What's not lining up? You know what I mean? That's super helpful. Holy moly.
It takes that confrontation out of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's hey, I'm not coming at you because I'm mad at you.
Exactly.
I'm coming at you because we set this standard. You agreed on this standard, and now you're not holding true to it. Why is that? How can I help you? Or what's going on in your personal life? You know what I mean? And so honestly, having those core values and as your guiding light and your beacon, it helps with conflict resolution in your business too. Even now, my leadership team, that gives them an icebreaker for their team that they're running, because they're learning how leadership's hard, dude. Dating people accountable is hard because we're all friends, we're all homies, but at the end of the day, when we're at work, we're working. We need to stay on track with what the ultimate goal is, right? We can be friends, we can have fun, don't get me wrong, but the goal is this is what we're doing, And so it helps them, it's helped them a lot because now they're starting to learn yeah, shit, he wasn't being consistent, he wasn't holding himself accountable. He wasn't instilling trust and respect in others, So now they can have that conversation with the employee that's under them, by pulling them in, hey, we're going to go over these core values that I don't think they are holding true, trust and respect.
And so does your leadership team, do they ever hold you accountable at the same extent? Are there times where you're maybe not at 100% and your team is there to tell you, hey, Steve, I need you at 100%, or hey, Steve, what's going on? Do they ever hold you accountable to that point?
No, I wish they would. I literally just had this conversation with my buddies at the gym this morning, not about my team holding me accountable, but just how us business owners and entrepreneurs and honestly just men in general and women that have kids and families, this is accountability has nothing to do with owning a business. It's just your everyday life. You know what I mean? And so, but yes, nobody holds me accountable except my wife. If she sees me slipping, she'll let me know. But the thing is nobody really has to do that for me because I hold myself so fucking accountable, and I know when I'm slipping. I know the standard that I've set for myself. Right now, I'm operating at 80%, and it's killing me. So that's what I was talking about this morning with all my buddies at the gym. I'm I just feel myself at this not chill mode, but I could do. I'm right here, when I'm normally up here. You know what I mean? And as long as I'm not declining, like you're going to hit these plateaus, but you need to be able to dig yourself out and keep rising, right? But it gets fucking exhausting, dude, for sure.
I feel like a lot of business owners might suffer with that too. You know, like, I mean, just off of my previous experience with the last place I was at, I feel like a big thing was they had that business owner mentality, right? I don't know if I'm maybe touching on it incorrectly, but I own a business, you know, I run a business, I'm this and that. I've been in business for 17 years. I this and that, you know what I mean? And I feel like they feel like they're at 100% and they never really have that self-reflection of like, oh, I am at 80%, you know? And so like, that's why I ask is like, is there a point where, you know, employees can keep the owner accountable, keep the business owner accountable, you know?
For sure. I mean, they should. Then that's where that trust and respect comes in, right? Like, I trust and respect my team so much that like I would hope they tell me like when I'm slipping, and they don't know that, like, because they still see me operating at a high percent or high level. Because when I go in there, they don't know I'm only at 80%. I just know internally that I'm operating at 80% right now, right? And so, you know, you asked about like the business owner that's been in 17 years and this and that. Bottom line is I just did a post on this the other day. It's like, you cannot demand respect, bro. Like, you have to earn respect. I don't give a shit who you are. If you're running a team of any sort, a sports team, a business team, a family team, you cannot demand respect, dude.
Yeah.
Because people will resent that and they'll pull back from that. You have to earn that, right? How do you earn that? You outwork them. You show them that you truly care. You're always there first. You're always the last one to leave. I worked 7 days a week, literally, for the first 6-7 years of my business, dude. Literally, like every day. You know what I mean? Because it's a weekend business. We're delivering on Thursdays and Fridays, events on Saturday, picking up Sunday, Monday, doing all the dishes and getting everything restocked, ready to preload on Wednesdays every day, right? So I earned that respect from my team. That's why I've had, you know, a handful of employees that have still been with me for 10 to 12 years. Because of the culture that I created. Not to say it's 100% all the time in culture, because like that's a very delicate thing.
Yeah.
But they know that like if I'm asking them to do something, I will never ask them to do anything I want to do myself or that I haven't done.
That's vital.
And I learned that shit just from Cal Fire, from the oil field. Like, there's no way that like the higher up, the driller or anybody above you, like if they try to like grab a tool and do something, you fucking have to tackle them, dude. Like, no, you're not. I'm doing this shit. Like, I'm sledging this thing, you know?
Yeah, we need more employees like that nowadays.
Yeah, like it moved up so fast on the oil field. And like, what's crazy is because it's rough out there, dude.
Yeah.
You got a bunch of like roughneck, no offense to them, but toothless motherfuckers that are like, they're hard, you know? And like, you have me they used to call me like the surfer boy and it's like, I've never fucking in. I laugh, bro. But like, you know, but I surprised them just because of my work ethic and my fucking grind, dude. So I went from roustabout, which is literally the janitor on a rig, pushing mud puddles, scrubbing balls, to working derricks, which is 120 feet above. But there's roustabout, floor hand 1, floor hand 2, motors, derrick hand, driller. I worked myself up to the derrick hand spock, which is the most dangerous job on that rig, 120 feet in the air, pulling back pipe. I worked myself up to that position in a year and 3 months, which it normally takes 3 to 4 years, because I just fucking grinded, dude, you know? And like, I didn't skip anybody. I worked as hard as I could, as diligently as I could. I kept my head down and I just grinded, didn't create any drama or issues. I just solved fucking problems, you know? And that's why I moved up so quick. And I feel like that's why I've been able to build so many companies on top of me building my teams, is I just solve problems, dude. You know what I mean? Like, that's all my job is now.
Quit fire zone.
Quit fire zone. My job as the CEO and the owner of this many different companies, 6 different companies or whatever, is my job is to hire and find the smartest people that can do the job that I'm not good at, you know, because I have my strengths, I have my weaknesses, I know where my weaknesses are. So I'm going to hire those people to fulfill for my weaknesses,
Fill in the gaps.
fill in those gaps. And then guess what? When they can't solve those problems, who are they calling? And it doesn't happen that often. But once they call me, it's like a problem that one of the smartest people or the best people for down position can't solve. Now they're calling me to where I'm gonna have to figure it out. But guess what? I figure it out every time. He's like, fucking find solutions.
And they can handle most problems up until that problem because of the SOPs that you put in place, right? And I guess that kind of like goes into my next portion, which is the leadership and culture of everything, right? We've been talking someone on it, and a lot of I feel a lot of leadership teams still depend heavily on the owner. Is that, I mean, is that valid to say, or is that, you know what I mean? Do you think that that they shouldn't rely so much on the owner?
For sure. And that's I see it all the time, right? And it's not the problem or the fault of the employees or the team members. It's the fault of the owner. Because they need to hold on to everything. They need to nobody can do it as good as I can. Nobody can do it as fast as I can. They're going to cut corners. They're going to do it at 90%. Bottom line is if you're running a company with a team, you need, as the owner, you and the CEO or whatever your title is, you have to be okay with your team operating at a 90% quality or whatever you want to call it, 100% of the time. They have to, of course, nobody's going to do it better than you because you're the fucking owner.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But guess what? You can't do the job of 20 people good or as good as you used to. There's just no way when you're scaling, right? So you have to trust and have the respect for your team, knowing that they are going to operate at a 90%. Hopefully you can get it above that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm just realistically, bro, like it's never going to be 100%. But will your clients see that? No, they won't see that 10% buffer. I will, but as long as the clients are seeing like a 10% gap, as long as they're working at a 90%, 100% of the time, but if they're working 95% or 100, then those are your all-stars. Those are your fucking general managers. Those are the true leaders, right? I'm talking like normal employees.
Yeah.
Because your leadership team should be operating at a 98%, 100% of the time. But like any employee under them, they should be holding that standard to a 90% to make sure they're at least a 90%.
And so I guess that is what really sets the culture too within a company, right? Just as an owner, not thinking that you have to do everything yourself or not coming off as, oh, I can do it better, right? Because I'm sure you don't go into, your businesses like, oh, I could do this a lot better than any of you guys, right? Because that would set a bad culture. So I guess just giving more direction, giving more, leadership, I guess, to your team, right? To allow them to make those mistakes, because then you create that culture, right? A good culture, and so what does that culture really look like though? Like if your team are they open to make mistakes and you're okay and like you're fine with it?
100%. Yeah, no, I expect them to make mistakes throughout the process. If they make the same mistake over and over and over and over,
Yeah.
it's either a system problem that I don't have the right system in place, or it's a person problem.
Dude, I like that. A lot of business owners wouldn't do that reflection. You know what I mean? That's awesome.
Well, because either way, it's they're lacking something because I didn't give them something, right? So if it's the same problem over and over and over, then I look at my systems. What's the SOP? What is the system? What are the step by step process that we set up for that, right? If that's dialed in, then it's a people problem. So why do they keep making that mistake? If it's not the system, is it, I hate to say this, are they just fucking dumb? Which that's an NFP problem, like why'd you forget apps? Which there are some people that are like that, right? And they slip through the cracks. But find a strength for that person. Everybody has strengths and weaknesses, like I just talked about. You don't just throw them to the fucking wolves because they make mistakes. As a leader, you got to be there to help pick them up, say, hey, you tripped over X, Y, and Z. Like, let's not do that again. And I'll give you the tools to make sure that doesn't happen again. You know what I mean? That like, that's where you build that trust. That's where you earn that respect, rather than coming down on these people. And these team members is really picking them up rather than coming down on them, So you have to expect that they're going to make mistakes. How many mistakes did I make? Fuck, dude. I still make mistakes. Yeah. On the daily, that not a lot. I mean, they're not huge. They're not huge issues, but there's little things that I could do better on the daily, So how do I expect this employee if we didn't train him correctly, or didn't develop the systems or the SOPs correctly, you know?
Culture, man.
Yeah.
Like that answered my question right there. I mean, that's how you set the culture within your business. And I guess that's what a lot of business owners get wrong about the culture then, is not giving that room to make mistakes, but also giving the tools to recover from the mistakes and learn, because I've been in positions where I've been, a store manager where I'm running the whole operation, and instead of, my district manager giving me the tools to succeed, it was more like, oh, dude, you're messing up. Like, you're not doing anything right. Okay,
Yeah.
well, great. Well, what does right look like? What does the right way look like? Because obviously I'm not seeing it, and so I think that's what a lot of business owners or even management gets wrong about the culture, is that, allowing those mistakes to happen.
Yeah, and it goes back to when they do make those mistakes, you address them in private, right? You praise in public, and you address issues in private.
I like that.
You know what I mean? Because everybody, like, we all do it. We're gonna put our guards up. We're gonna put our defense up if we're being called out in front of a group of people. You know what I mean? On a mistake that I made, like, or a lot of team members will put up their guard. That's why it's you address the issues behind the doors. You know what I mean?
Instead of
in front of everybody.
Nobody likes to be put on the spot.
Yeah. But when you applaud somebody and give them an attaboy or an attagirl in front of everybody, they're fucking fired up, dude. Like, they want to go crush everything because you just praise them in front of everybody. And it's like simple things, right?
That's like some good psychology right there, man. Nah, seriously, because I was just thinking about if I was that moment, I'd be the exact same way. Like, oh, you did a great job, Armando. Hey, can we have a meeting real quick in the back room? Yeah, sure. Hey, dude, you need a okay, all right, I got it. I'll keep the pace, like, dude, that's some good psychology right there. And how'd you learn that? Like, what?
It's honestly, it's like, it's communication, dude. Like, clear communication is key, and I talk about it all the time. And it's so funny because one thing that I learned on the oil field is we're drilling for Chevron, and Chevron put us through a DISC communication style and personality trait assessment because we're drilling on their leases now. And they're a huge corporate. So what DISC is, and there's a bunch of different ones out there, communication and personality trait assessments.
That's what you had us do.
Yeah.
I did that one.
Dad does it, so first time I got introduced to it was back on the oil field. They made us, we did all the assessments. It was a week-long training. They made you wear a sticker on your hard hat with the idea that, like, okay, this guy is a red over blue. So you can basically, I'm, a D is dominant. So you could fucking yell down my throat. You can yell at me. You can not praise me in public, and I'll still freaking perform, right? But you do that to, like, somebody that's a yellow, that's very, like, sales oriented, very, wants to be everybody's friend. If you address them in public that way and reprimand them, they're just going to close down, So what communication styles really help me with is because I'm a red over red. Like, I'm fucking go. Like, I don't care what's going on. Like, yes, we can be friends, but we can be friends after 5. Like, I got something to do right now, Friends after 5. Like, but it was really good because it made me aware of, just because I feel this way and I operate this way doesn't mean my team's gonna operate that. And you don't want your whole team operating that way. A bunch of freaking bulldozers going through walls. Like, you would just fucking
a lot of ostics.
Yeah, a lot. Because it's like, slow down, And so what that does is it shows you how your whole team communicates, and the personalities and the communication style that they have. So as the owner and the business owner and the CEO or the manager or a team lead, whatever they are, it's my job to understand how my team communicates. Because when I go to communicate with that person, if they're a red, I know I can fucking come in. Armando, dude, you got to do better, bro. Like, we got to hurry up. We got to be there by 1:30. We got to go. And you'll be like, yes, let's fucking go. Somebody that's a yellow, I got to sit down. I won't say the name just in case you want. It's like, hey, how's your dog doing today? When I don't give a fuck how the dog is. We're like, I'm in there, but I got a breakthrough to her. How's your dog doing? How's your husband doing? Oh my, they're doing great. How's yours? I'm like, my dog's wonderful, you know? Have a 5-10 minute conversation with her and then get to the, not even the issue, but what I need addressed. You know what I mean? Is if I go in there and be like, hey, you missed, you know, this many calls, you didn't, you know, on your dialer, you didn't call this many people back, she would just automatically shut down. So once I learned how to communicate with people efficiently, then that like really honestly started opening everything up, you know, because I needed them to perform for me. So I either had to go down, not in a bad way, down to their communication level or up to their communication level. And it works both ways. Communication's both ways. I don't have to always scoop down to them or go up to them. They need to understand my way too and meet me somewhere in the middle. You know what I mean? Because if I'm trying to get something done, it's like I don't always have 15 to 12 minutes to like coddle you and like make you feel better. Just, you know,
I can feel it in it.
yeah, but they understand that. They understand how what makes me tick, how I operate, so they can adjust it accordingly when the times when it's needed.
And that's super important for any business owners that are watching this right now. I just want to really point out, hit up Steve if you want some more information on that DISC assessment, because I really think that's super vital for any business. You know, so we'll put information up later on, but yeah, hit Steve up for some more info on that, because that's freaking amazing. That's gold right there. Yeah, dude, that's awesome. I noticed after we took that DISC assessment that Austin was talking to me more different way. I was like, all right, I like it because it works with me, you know, and I react a lot better to it. And Jay does the same thing, you know, because he's my sales director. So at the end of the day, like he communicates with me well now. And it's because of that DISC. I'm not, maybe not all completely, but I think that did have a big part in it, because we understood who we are and how we can talk to each other.
Totally.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, that's what it's all about. I mean, it doesn't, and it goes with your kids, like your wife, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, whatever you got. Like, you know, it's funny because I coach my son's 13 now, turning 14, and I've coached him since he was 6 in all of his different sports. And it's cool because it's not like I give all of his buddies like a personality trait assessment. I just know these days, like I've been doing it for so long, I can read people pretty well just reading them. So my coaching style is I have to coach down or up to their level, right? I have to like, you can't just be yelling at all these kids to fucking run faster, hit harder. Like, and when you're upset, like you need to work harder. It's like, that won't work. Like my son, for sure, he's not a red, you know, like when I need him to perform, I need to approach him very differently than one of his buddies that is a red, that I'm like, dude, you need to fucking hurry up, run faster. You can crush the ball. Like, what was that? And he's like, I know, I'll do better, coach, you know, as it's freaking 13-year-old drops a home run. But it's like my son and a couple of his other buddies, like I have to approach it differently. Not that he doesn't get all aggressive and wants to win. That's not the case, but to get him to keep pushing forward and not just shut down, I have to approach him differently than I do the friend standing right next to him. So that type of coaching style or ownership style doesn't work anymore, to where you can just blanket everybody under one. You know, you have to understand how your team communicates, you know?
No, that's vital, man.
And it's good for conflict resolution, because that's the whole thing in business and life. There's always conflict around you, right? And not that all conflict are bad, but you have to fight fair. So if you have a tool to use to understand, okay, I'm going to go in this tough conversation, which I hate even having or calling it tough conversations anymore. It's just having a conversation. If I didn't respect you or appreciate you, I wouldn't have this conversation, you know? But I can go into these conversations now where it's like, hey, bro, like you have the trust and respect. I've earned that. Like, understanding your personality style and communication style, I can have these conversations by breaking the ice correctly. You know what I mean? To where if I would go in there all fired up, you'd automatically shut down if you're that communication style. So it's a cool tool to be able to have conflict resolution with your teams too.
No, I appreciate that, man. And I think that's a good thing for any business owner to do. Even if you're not a business owner, if you're a coach, definitely suggest doing it. DISC assessment. Really quick, Steve, let's take a quick water break, super quick. And so, you know, going into the next section of this is, you know, the systems and freedom, right? Systems. I know you're really big on systems. You always talk about systems. I see your videos always about systems. What does real operational freedom look like as a business owner in a successful business?
So I think it can look differently to a lot of people, but for me, it is operational freedom would be to develop your team to where you don't have to be involved in every single step of every single process, right? Operational freedom could be to where you're not involved in one area of your business, right? You're free from that one area because there's, 6 to 8 different departments sometimes, depending on what, industry you're in. But operational freedom for me, because of all the different, not only different businesses, but different, you know, departments in each one of those businesses, mine's total freedom of out of the operational day-to-day grind, because I can't be working in my business on a forklift or putting stuff away, hanging cannabis, whatever it is. Like operational freedom, you have to be able to get to that point if you want to ever start working on your business rather than just in it, right? Because you can only scale so much working in your business, because most CEOs and business owners are the visionary of their company.
Yeah.
Right. So if I'm stuck grinding in the day to day and I'm on a forklift or I'm in the operations in any capacity, I can't be looking 30 miles ahead and looking around corners. Right. And I've been able to, because I'm a visionary. I see something, I figure it out, I want to go. I know if it's gonna work or it's not gonna work. And I make my business decisions, or, getting into different industries based off that, you know what I mean? Is being able to look 30 miles ahead or 500 miles ahead and see around corners. Okay, there's going to be issues, around this corner. So what systems and processes can we put in place now? That way, when the team gets there, it's already in place for them to detour around that corner rather than make a hard U-turn or hit that wall.
I feel like that's a good way to put it too. Is it's not like you're backing away from your business. It's allowing you to keep that vision going so you can see 30 miles ahead.
Yeah.
Because I feel like a lot of I feel like, again, bottleneck, right? It's a big word I like using. I feel like the big bottleneck for the business owners is, feeling that they have to be involved in all of it to see the vision, to make the future vision. But like in reality, you can't see a vision if you don't have time for it, right?
Yeah. Dude, the business owner is always the bottleneck, dude. It's like, and it took me forever to realize that I was the bottleneck. I was the one holding it back, and not that I was doing it on purpose. I liked working, dude. Like, I liked the physical work,
Yeah.
I didn't like fucking being in an office and spreadsheets. So like my dad makes fun of me now because he's like a big numbers and financial guy,
Yeah.
And like I said, I didn't even graduate high school, dude. Like I was like flunked out of algebra. But dude, I love numbers now. I love spreadsheets. I don't like building them because I don't know how to build them. That I analyze the shit out of them, dude. Like you give me data and I will analyze it. You give me P&Ls and balance sheets and I will analyze it, and I will poke holes and find revenue leaks in anybody's P&L, dude, for sure. 100%. Doesn't matter what business you run. Doesn't matter what industry you're in. I will find holes in motherfucker. Hit them up. I will patch those holes. Pass us. Nip piece. Like I will find holes, dude, because when you're working in the business, you don't have time to be looking at your numbers on a consistent basis. Don't get me wrong. When I was working in my business, they would be like, here's the financials. And I'll be like, all right, cool. What does this even mean? I'm out. Like, I got to hurry up because I'm wasting time. But now that's why I'm able to not only scale the businesses that I have, but find verticals within those businesses, is because I have time to sit down at the close of every single month, look at the financials, and I can tell how that business is doing. Whether all my businesses, I look at them, okay, this one needs help in this area. So I'll call Jeff. He's the CEO at Vertical Integration. Hey, bro, like you need help with X, Y, and Z, because I noticed that the labor is pretty high right now. But if you don't pay attention to those numbers, you'll never know. And I did, full disclosure, I just made this mistake April of this last year. I've had the same bookkeeper for 8 years. Like, she's a badass. That's the other thing. Hire a good bookkeeper, hire a good CPA, hire a good attorney, hire a good HR, and hire a good content creator. That's the 5 pillars as a business owner, or 6, that you need to hire out. Do not do any of those yourself. I've never done my own books. I'm not a CPA. I don't know shit about taxes. HR, don't even care. Don't even want anything to do with it. The attorney, definitely not. You know what I mean? Like, not a full year's. Hire that shit out. Yes, it's going to feel expensive at first, but that frees you up. Like, just a bookkeeper where you're not like reconciling your own credit cards and stuff like that. That's going to save you 10 hours a week easily.
And at what point do you make that move? Because obviously, starting off right with the business fresh off, say it's a side hustle, a pressure washing business, for example, I'm probably not going to have the funds to hire a bookkeeper right away, or a CPA, or an attorney. So at what point do you make that potential jump? You know, is it at 1 million, 2 million, 3 million?
You do it at $100,000, because it's not that, dude, bookkeepers are not that expensive anymore. Don't get me wrong. If you're doing $10 million and 25 credit cards that they're reconciling, it's going to be costly. Mine's a little pricey just because she's running books for 6 different companies. Yeah. But dude, it's like, if you're serious about your business, like, get out of the books. Okay. Unless you want to be a bookkeeper, then go fucking start a bookkeeping company. That if you're a pressure washer, there's no reason why you should be reconciling your credit cards. Maybe do it for a few months just to understand how it works. But the second, like, you need to hire somebody to do that.
I like that.
Because you, as the pressure washer, or you as the whatever you're doing, you need to be out doing that thing.
To make more money.
To make more money. Because the 10 hours that you're spending on doing your books every week, you could be out pressure washing for 10 hours, or going networking for 10 hours, or studying what's the next best pressure washer out there. Whatever your industry's in, that 10-hour due would be $200 a month. That's a business that's under 500,000. Ain't shit, dude.
Not smart, dude. That was my limited belief, thinking that you would have to wait to $1 million, you know?
I still have buddies of mine, like good friends of mine, and you motherfuckers figuring out what I'm talking about. It's like, dude, how are you still doing your books?
Yeah.
Like, well, I don't have money. You don't have money because you're fucking doing your books. Like, you're taking time away from reading plans to where you can actually make money and fine tune those lines, reading plans on the job you're going to do, because now you got to go over here and do your books, or you're scrambling through your books, not reconciling correctly, to when you look at it at the end of the month, which you don't even do that, but you look at it whenever you look at it, and it's inaccurate numbers. You had to go back, do it all over again. So what I was getting at before I went off that little tangent is like, it's like, dude, numbers are like, dude, that's the health of your business, dude. You can look at any P&L that's correct, any P&L balance sheet, and see how healthy that business is and where they can improve. How's building the gym out, Gain Station?
Badass gym, by the way. Sad to say, man. Badass gym.
It's pretty good. This is badass for sure. Yeah, talk about culture. You've seen it, the community and the culture there, bro. Like, not even just with the internal owners and staff, that like the membership culture is like none other anybody's ever seen. I guarantee it.
No, I love it. I love it. You know what I mean? I love the culture there. I've only been there a couple times with Austin, but every time I go with him, you know, you guys are always chatting up, you know? So like, there's always someone there to have a conversation with. And the fact of it, you guys are having business owner conversations, you know what I mean? So you guys are getting a workout in, and then also having legit conversations that will help progress.
The networking is huge. Like, because I feel that even if you're not talking about business, just talking about life and this and that, like it's just as important, your mental health and your physical health, right? You go in there, you talk to a bunch of like-minded people, no matter if they're business owners or not, like they're all on the same path to get better, to better themselves, right? So that's why, yeah. And anyways, Gain Station's badass.
Gain Station's badass. I'm not getting paid for that, but it's badass.
But let me talk on that P&L shit really quick, because I made this mistake last year. I was building out Gain Station, had my eyes off the target. Everything was running good. I stepped back out of, I should add this to this. So I stepped out of my business. I planned to step out of my businesses in 2020. Hired my GM the beginning of 2020, and then COVID happened, right? Everything fucking shut down. We were hammered because I owned a different gym at the time, CrossFit Ergo, and a wedding and event rental company, which that was like the exact opposite of essential business because it's mass gatherings. So we literally went from like going to be the best year in history to literally dropping not only just zero revenue, but negative revenue because I was having to give everybody's deposits back that gave us deposits for that year. So it literally it was fucking gnarly, dude. Like talking to bankruptcy attorneys after a year because they weren't opening back up, you know? And with weddings and events, they had, you have multiple different vendors that have to be on board to like, yeah, let's do this wedding. Even if the bride and groom wanted to do the wedding, they would need the photographer, rentals, venue, cage, for all the different vendors to be on board to do that wedding. So long story short, I was supposed to step out 2020. That didn't happen. Almost went bankrupt. Dug myself out of that. Rebuilt the team. Went from 50 employees, 10 trucks, down to 5 employees and 1 truck.
Holy shit.
And then 2021 into 21-ish, beginning or middle of 21, we started building back. Built the team back 2022, into 22, and then 23 was just crazy. That was all the pent up demand. So that's when I stepped back out of my business is late 22, and they were crushing it for 2 years, holding each other accountable. Our mission and values, the leadership team was on fire. I took my eyes off the prize. I wasn't holding them accountable on a consistent basis. When started doing the gym thing over here and switched bookkeepers at the same time to where it was only supposed to take 1 month to switch all my books from QuickBooks Desktop to QuickBooks Online. So that way she can operate. It took her 3.5 months. No offense. I have to have this conversation with her all the time. No offense to you. That was my fucking fault or shit. Only had you do one business at a time. But took her 3 months. And going into April, May, June, those are our first busiest weekends of the season for weddings and events, right? So I'm building out the gym over here, eyes off the prize. I assume they have everything rocking and rolling. They're following their SOPs. They're using their job roles or they're using their job costing calculators, their labor calculators, all that shit that we've implemented and used for years. And then new bookkeeper that took 3 months to get the books all reconciled. I went blind for 3 months instead of sitting down at the end of each month and seeing my financials and seeing the health of the business. I just went blind by believing like everything's going good. They're saying it's going good. We're busy. Sales are out, blah, blah, blah. 3.5 months later, look at clean financials. We're down 7% on sales. We overspent on labor by $97,000. Every single budget that we had set was blown out of the water. We lost $375,000 in 3 months.
Holy.
Because I wasn't looking at my fucking financials. Because I didn't have them clean and accessible. Not making excuses. I could have been back in All About Events or that company and like making sure that they were doing everything that they knew that they were supposed to be doing. Labor calculators, because when revenue's up at $150 or $150,000 a weekend, labor's not an issue. It's every weekend's like this. It goes up to 150, it goes down to 75, it goes up to 120, like it goes like this. So you have to manage those dips, right? So we build calculators and stuff like that for like, if it's under $90,000, you have to start cutting hours, you know, which is fine. The guys and the girls are fine with that because they know the next weekend they're going to have more. So it all levels out. So they weren't doing that. They weren't following the SOPs. They weren't following the job roles and responsibilities. They weren't holding each other accountable. There was some other stuff that was going on internally with people's personal lives, heart attacks, divorces, stuff like that. So it was kind of like the perfect storm, which was actually really good for me because it got me fucking on fire and re-engaged again, you know? But that's just why it's so important for these business owners. If they're serious about running an actual company and scaling, and you don't have to say to blow up to 100 million or 50 million or anything like that. But if you want to get above that $2 million mark, like you have to have your leadership team on point, your systems, your structure, your HR, your bookkeepers. You have to be working on your business, not in your business, or else you're going to be always stuck at that $2 to $5 million mark and just pulling your fucking hair out, dude. Like, not to say you can't do it, but you will not have freedom of time. You won't have freedom with your family. You won't have financial freedom. You're going to be a prisoner of the fucking prison you built for yourself that's disguised as your company.
That must be hard to deal with too as a business owner. You know, not knowing what tools that there are to get you past that 2 to 5 mark, you know. And you said exactly, I mean, that was exactly what we need to hear was the 5 pillars, right? The 5 pillars. Work on your business, not in your business, you know. And I mean, when does that realization come into play though?
Yeah, I mean, so
Like, does it come into play at 1 million? Does it come into play at 100,000?
I think, I mean, you can operate, and you, like I said, you have to wear all the hats for the first few years of your business, 3 years at least, to like kind of understand how everything works.
Okay.
I'm not saying a hat as a bookkeeper. I'm saying within it, you're saying within your business, you have to know your sales funnels, your CRMs. You have to know your operational structure. You have to know your marketing. You have to know certain things, right? And how those operate. So when you go to delegate those out, you have an idea if it's working or it's not working, right? But I'm saying, like, you have to hire out those outside things that you're never going to be good at anyways, you know? So to get to that jump, to get to that, you know, million to 2 million to 5 million, you have to. So I developed, here's a little plug. So I developed, it's called the Freedom Business Liberation System, right? So freedom being an acronym. So to continue to move up and scale, and not only just scale, but be able to remove yourself from outside of the day-to-day grind. This is like exactly what I did to build all my different companies. Freedom. You have to face the reality and truths of your company. What's holding you back? What's your bottleneck? Is it you? You have to honestly face the hard truths and reality of your business. Number one. Or you have to restructure all your broken systems and systems that don't work, your SOPs, your job roles, responsibilities, your mission values. Any system that you have to restructure it. Even if you think it's working good, you have to take a deep dive on that and see if it's actually really working good.
Yeah.
If not, you have to restructure it. Then you move into the first E, which is establish leadership. Not only establish leadership just within your team, you have to, as the business owner, you have to start learning how to be a leader at that point, because you can never scale if you don't have a leader at the helm. You know what I mean? Like, if people don't respect the CEO or respect the business owner, the manager, if they don't have that strong leadership at the top down, you'll never be able to scale. So the first E is establish your leaders and the leadership within yourself. Then you get into the second E, which is empower. Now you're going to empower your leaders. What do I mean by empower? Like we talked about with the communication style assessments, and in the praising in public and, you know, reprimanding in private. You want to empower them to make those decisions, make those mistakes, but be there to pick them back up, right? The D, delegation. So now that you have established your leadership, you're empowering them. Now you need to delegate efficiently, because now you're starting to remove yourself from the business because you've established those leaders, you're empowering them. Now to really start removing yourself from the day-to-day, you have to delegate efficiently, right? Delegate efficiently. You have to have those accountability systems put in place. The Asana task management. There's so many different ones out there. That's one I use. Asana, A-S-A-N-A, or A-S-A-N. I don't know how to fucking Asana. Google Asana. Like I said, I don't know how to spell shit, and I can see. So, so when I delegate out a task, you know, you have to do it efficiently and effectively, right? So I don't want to micromanage and hover over them. Hey, did you do this? Did you do this? I put it on Asana. I assign it a due date, or I assign it a owner. I assign it a due date and a priority level. And then I assign another task and another task, whatever that is, right? then the job of that leader is not to do it themselves. It's to delegate it down, right? It's the leader's job to make sure it gets done. Because when I come back in a week later or 2 weeks later in our leadership meeting and your bucket's still full, it's like, why didn't any of this shit get done? You can't point your finger. Shit rolls uphill in this scenario. Shit doesn't roll downhill. So if I delegate a task to my leadership team, they could delegate it out, but they need to make sure it gets done, right? That was a long-winded because delegation's huge, bro.
Yeah.
Like it's the only way to keep moving forward and tote that line of micromanaging at the same time, because you don't want people to feel like you're being micromanaged.
Of course not.
So then you move it on to the O, which is optimize, which is optimize those systems to autonomy. You want everything, CRMs, your financial systems, whatever systems you have in place, you want them autonomous. You want them automatic. So once you start optimizing your systems to autonomy, now everything's flowing like smooth, Then the M in freedom, now it's time to mentor and multiply. Mentor and multiply, what I mean by that is mentor the leaders that you've established within your business and multiply. You either multiply more leaders or you multiply in different verticals and different industries, different businesses. But the big one's mentoring. You know what I mean? You have to mentor and be available to continue to coach those leaders that you're developing.
That's huge.
You know what I mean? And multiplying, like I said, multiplying for me was to multiply more businesses, because I knew that was more opportunity for me to run through the Freedom Business Liberation System, develop more leaders in every single one of those businesses, to where now those leaders understand the principles. So now they're developing leaders under them.
So now they're mentors.
And so now they're the mentors. So it's that big trickle down circle effect. You know what I mean?
Dude, that's rad.
So that's like, that's the Freedom Business Liberation System that I came up with, that I have used for the past, 6 years, developing all these new businesses.
Dude, that's sick. I remember hearing you touch on that freedom when we heard you speak about a month ago, dude. And it was really enlightening. It was enlightening to see that, like, it was you and Jason too that had a lot to say about your team and your culture itself. And I think a lot of business owners forget about that the team gets you to where you need to go, and you need to mentor them, and you need to coach them and build them up, and I guess that's how you would go from 1 million to 3 million to 5 million to 10 million,
multiplying those leaders, and it's not just hiring people. It's like you have to pour in, and I'm constantly studying leadership every day. Listening to podcasts, reading books. I don't read as much anymore because I'm driving so much, but I'm listening to books. I'm listening to podcasts. Andy Frisella, the Operator Standard, the MFCEO Project, all these. I'm constantly studying what these other successful business owners have done. It all leads back to culture, dude. It all leads back to company culture, especially these days. Like back in the day, work hard, go, outwork everybody. That worked, but that doesn't work anymore. Team members, they want to be part of something. This generation, my nieces and nephews' ages, my goddaughter's ages, that from 18 to 25-ish, they just want to be some part of something. Yes, they need to get paid for their time, but they're more concerned about being part of something bigger than themselves, and they want to contribute to that.
And that's true. That's how I think. I'm 26. That's exactly how I think, Like I'm more driven and have more passion when I feel like I'm actually making a difference and we're all doing this together.
For sure. Because the money thing is just a tool. It's going to come, no matter if you're just starting out at a company. But if you have a true passion and truly believe and that company has a strong culture, like the money is going to come for sure. You know what I mean? It always does. But the hard part is finding those companies that have a true, good, strong culture. And last year, bro, my culture at one of my companies was suffering a little bit, because of those personal things that were going on. And I missed the mark myself, to where I wish my team would have been like, hey, I need a little more help over here. I'm going through a divorce. I just had another heart attack, as a leader of that company. So even though I'm not there in the day to day, I could have not solved all those personal problems, but I could have helped mitigate the fucking issues from them and trickling it into the business, which not only just financially, I'll always make the money back. The culture started slipping. They weren't trusting each other. They weren't holding each other accountable. And so I literally had to go in and like, dude, what the fuck is going on here? You know what I mean? And have a heart to heart with everybody. Like, we got to clean this shit back up, you know?
Open door policy, right?
Yeah. You know, and it's not one person, it's all of you. It's me too, you know? So now everybody's on fire, you know? But it just takes a couple of those tweaks. I let go a couple people that have been with me for 12 plus years.
Happens.
They got bad people. They weren't aligned with the mission and values anymore.
Yeah, because it obviously throughout the business life, your mission, values, and are gonna change, right? I mean, over time, right? Because your company grows, people come in, so your mission and values obviously change.
They can for sure. And so when I step back out of the business, this is a good question. Yes, it can. I think your mission can change, but I don't know if your core, like, is my core values, those are my core values.
Okay.
You know, like, those are just what I feel near and dear. Perfect example. So when I stepped back out in 2022, I hired that same consultant again. I worked with them throughout the years. I hired them again for some other things, but I said, hey, let's address this mission and values. Now that I'm not involved in the day-to-day and that they're running this company now, I want my leadership team and my GM to have the opportunity to change the mission and values, or let's talk about changing the mission and values, because I still had to have it. I still had to be aligned with anything that they changed it to.
Yeah.
Not to say it had to come from me, but like, I needed to get aligned with the mission and values of my company, right? So they sat on it. They thought about it for 2 months. You know, every opportunity they talked about it in multiple different meetings. They came back to me and said, no, we don't want to change it. We still think that even though that you're not here on the day-to-day, we still know, or we know that if we still live by these mission and values, like, we're going to succeed.
No, that's it's probably a big pill to swallow too for them, you know, because they got the task of being able to change it, and they're like, oh, hey, you know what? No, like, this aligns well, you know. And I know, like, as a company gets bigger, obviously you start thinking different ways, you know. So it's nice to know that, like, the mission may change, but the core values will stay the same, right?
Sure. The mission just gets bigger.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But the core values and they know, like, that last year they weren't holding each other accountable. They were losing trust and respect for each other. You know, they weren't consistent. So they know, because now you have zero excuses. You had all opportunity to change in the world, to change those values and to change that mission, but you agreed with them so wholeheartedly that you didn't change them. Now you're not living by them.
Well, you like aren't.
You know what I mean? Like, this is a you problem. This isn't a system problem. This isn't a mission and values problem. This is a you problem that's turning into a culture problem.
That is, oh crap, dude. That one would hurt. That one would hurt.
Say some deep reflection, and there's no way that it's anything else.
Yeah. No, I hear you. And no, dude, you're dropping a lot of knowledge today. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Yeah. Let me just. I got a couple more for you, man. Couple of things I wanted to touch on a little more. You know, we've been talking about foundation, how you started, where you came from. We've talked about leadership and culture, and like what really makes a business thrive and get to that next level. Accountability, huge. You know, and the freedom of being able to disconnect yourself from the business, but not being in, I guess, working on the business, not in the business, right? Like you said. Now I really want to talk about building on the Central Coast and legacy, and like what that really means, you know. Like what mindsets hold local business owners back? You know, like, say starting a local business, what's a mindset that would hold me back knowing that I came from a small town?
I think just right there. I came from a small town.
Limited beliefs.
Yeah, limited beliefs. You know, you have to have that growth mindset. And the bottom line is yes, we live in a small town, but there is so like we live in a destination wedding and event area, and a destination area, not just for weddings and events, but to come here because of the wineries, because of the breweries, not so much anymore. Unfortunately, those are 50% down, but people are still coming here for the beaches, for the mountains. Pass is a really hot spot, right? So yes, those limiting the beliefs of like we come from a small town, but like we have so many people and so many opportunities that come into this area. That's why you see the restaurants, the bars, all these businesses that are doing well because of how many their bottom line's getting chopped because of how expensive everything is, but people are still coming into town. You know what I mean? So to start a business kind of in the local area, like you got to think bigger than that,
Right.
because it's not just here. Like you're trying to attract people in San Francisco, the Central Valley, Orange County, Los Angeles. We call it the Horseshoe. That's where we have millions of people coming into our town
Wow.
every single year.
That's forward thinking right there. Don't think about just the town, but think about everybody that's around you. How can you track those of around you because they're coming to you?
For sure. They're all coming here, and that's like the perfect scenario for a town. Yes, it sucks when you're trying to get a table and you're local at the fucking restaurant. I get it. It's time, bro. Whatever. Go make a reservation.
Go to the other restaurant. You know 5 other. Come on now.
Go to Creston. Nobody knows.
Dude, nobody knows about.
And now they will. But okay. Just don't bitch about growth, because these people are coming in town, they're spending their money, and they're getting the hell out. Yes, we're starting to build a lot more. It's getting a lot more attention. That's why all these homes are coming up. But yeah, as far as like thinking small, it's like, dude, with the way social media is and the internet and everything like that, like you can't think small, dude. Like there's no boundaries.
So being an entrepreneur in a small town, don't think small just because you're from a small town. Think big. And I guess that's a huge advantage too about being an entrepreneur on the Central Coast is the fact of where we are in that horseshoe, knowing that we have so much tourism coming to us. So I guess if you're going to start a business in our area, you probably want to start a business that has to do along the lines of tourism, right?
Yeah, or I mean, there's so many opportunities, you know, and that's what I was just talking to my nephew about. He's 21 years old. And it doesn't even have to be a business here locally in town to where you're servicing people coming into town. Nowadays, like there's just so many different business opportunities, and I'm not talking about this bullshit influencer on social or on Instagram and all this bullshit to where they made $10 million in a year, and like they're gonna be broke.
Yeah.
But in 5 years they're not gonna manage their money correctly.
Or they didn't pay their taxes.
Yeah, or they pay the exact, dude. It's like this is what I just talked about on another podcast. It's like then I tell my nieces and nephews and goddaughters and anybody in that age group, you cannot compare yourself to what you're seeing on Instagram and social media, because that shit is not reality, dude. Like there are so many of these influencers online that are doing more harm than anything, as they're trying to sell a course to how to start a business or how to make 10 million when they haven't even fucking worked a real job in their life. Not to say they're not successful right now, and bet a small fraction of those people are going to continue to be successful because they start leveraging their brand, right? So I don't think just because you come from a small town, we live in a unique area because we have so many people coming into our town. So yes, the hospitality space, there's plenty of opportunities because we have so many people coming in town. But even if you live in a small town, there's no boundaries with social media. I'm not saying to become an influencer or anything like that. With drop shipping, with this live shopping that's going on, with just the access that you have to worldwide, 5 billion people or whatever it is are on social media. You know what I mean?
So market them.
Yeah, like and it's free. It's literally Instagram and social media is free until you start paying for ads.
And so what would be like? Because I'm kind of interested in this one. This goes off my topic, sorry, but what would be a good thing to sell online? Like if you were to do something online, if you're like service or product, or what are you thinking? Like what would be the best?
See, it's hard for me because I'm not big into e-commerce, like I don't have a big background on it. But I know like the drop shipping thing, that's super saturated, but you can still be successful at it. There's this new live shopping thing. Have you heard about it?
I haven't.
So Gary Vee talks about it. They're doing it over in China right now. It's literally like people trying on shirts and pants and shoes, and like it's kept. What's that called? QVC.
QVC.
Remember, like you're too young. QVC used to be like, bro, they're like, look at this duct tape. You know, like they're selling all this shit on like QVC.
Oh, like on the TV. Yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Okay, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Like the fucking the commercials.
Yeah, it's like 1 o'clock in the morning. They're trying to sell a rock or a coin. Yeah, and I'm just talking about.
It's kind of like that type of thing, but modernized to where it's people trying on different clothes and like this is how it fits on me, and you can literally watch them not change, obviously, but like see them in different outfits and different products, and it's called live shopping. So like that's supposedly like this new thing and shit right now.
I'll check that out there.
It's like, and it's what I tell like my nephew. It's like, dude, if I wasn't, and that's why I'm kind of pushing so hard on the not so much the traditional business coaching and consulting anymore. I'm casting my net much wider on the online space, but I'm going to do mine a little bit differently. It's not like buy my course and you're going to make $1 million. It's buy this course, run through the Freedom Business Liberation System, and let's actually do a full business audit customized to your business. Let me look at your financials, and then I'll dissect those. We'll come up with priorities, and like you will increase your bottom line. But as far as like selling stuff online, like there's a lot of like one hitter quitters and shit out there, you know?
Yeah,
People
a lot.
selling these things that haven't done shit in life. Like I have the receipts, you know, like, and I need to talk about it more, but I don't talk about it enough because I'm just humble that way. Like the shit that I had built from like literally the ground up, bootstrapped everything, no investment money. It's pretty wild, dude.
It is, it is, dude. It's fucking hard, man. And I mean, you were not just building a business, bro, but you're a fucking Cal Fire. You know what I mean? Like you're in the oil, like dude, you got a lot of fucking knowledge, and you are humbled. I do get that. Like even when you came and spoke at the event, dude, you sat in the back, you didn't talk to nobody, you just fucking chilled. You didn't come in all like, oh, I'm the shit, I got this, I that. No, dude, so like I would love to hear more, you know what I mean? But what I'll do is let's wrap it up with this. I've been wanting to ask this question since I knew I was gonna bring you on the podcast, dude. So legacy is your fucking thing, right? Legacy is Steve. When I think of legacy, I think of Steve. Like, what does that word mean to you? Like, what does legacy mean?
So legacy to me, it's not leaving behind a legacy in the sense of like I'm leaving properties and buildings and all these assets to my kids. Like a legacy to me is that's why I've been so involved in the community, working or being the chairman of the Chamber of Commerce, sitting on all these nonprofit boards. It's like when I leave a legacy, it's more of like the amount of people that I had made better that has been around me, and the more leaders that I've been able to help develop throughout the years. Like that's the legacy I want to leave. The houses and the cars and all this bullshit. Like honestly, that doesn't matter to me. Like I want my kids and my wife and my community to know that like I did everything I could, because we need strong leaders, bro. Like especially nowadays, locally, by the state, federal, coaches, doesn't matter where we're at. Like we need stronger leaders, better leaders. Our leaders need to step the fuck up and like really do a better job, and get that word out there. So like my legacy would be to literally just develop as many leaders as I can. That way they can develop other leaders, and that just continues down the cycle. Like I'm doing right now for my businesses, like that's only on a small scale, right? Me wanting to get on the online space is so I can touch way more people throughout the country, throughout the world, to where I can implement like what works for me on a leadership level. They can implement it on their leadership teams. Now I'm touching, thousands, hundreds of thousands of people, rather than just here locally to where I'm maybe 1,000 people, So,
That's
yeah, legacy. It's crazy like how I came up with it, because like I never, or not came up with it. When it clicks, it's like, that's like, I want to be a legacy leader, right? Like I want to build this life to where it's more, money's a tool, right? Like I came from nothing, fucking trailer park, single wide trailer park, parents worked super hard. They split, but it was like always an issue with money. So like I came from nothing. So like I've made a ton of money and I've lost a ton of money. You know what I mean? And I'll continue to do that my whole life. So it's not about the money thing, but money is a tool to be able to reach more people to help develop, those strong leaders throughout your community and throughout the country.
I think that is happiness, man. Everyone always asks what's happiness, and I know we started off with the word legacy, but um, you saying that money is just a tool, like that. Like when you said that, I just thought of the word happiness. You know what I mean? Like everyone always asks, money can't buy you happiness. Money can't buy you happiness. You're right, it can't. Money is a fucking tool to get you to be happy. To get you to what you need to do to get happy. Taking care of your family, happiness, right? That's a good way to fucking end this, dude. Thank you.
Yeah.
Shit.
It's one last little example that, my son's 13 years old. So he's going through a lot of changes and good kid, love him to death. Such a hearted kid that he's wanting to make a bunch of money right now, to save up for something because I just don't give him fucking money. I make him earn it. You know what I mean? And understand and respect how much effort and energy and how much hard work it takes to make money. So I made a deal with him. I was like, listen, you're doing all your chores anyways. You're cleaning up the dog shit. You're doing the dishes. You're doing your laundry. Yes, I still have to remind you. You understand what it takes physically. Like you can always make money. Like physically, you can put in your time. You can exchange your time for money at any point in life, right? But I do not want you doing that. So I need you to flip that mindset. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start paying you $15 an episode to listen to the Operator Standard, which is Andy Frisella's new online platform, to where he's talking about how you win in life, the strong mindset, the winning mindset, grit, determination, confidence. He has a new podcast. So now my son, every single day or whenever he chooses to, because I'm not going to force him to do it, I'm going to pay him $15 an episode, but he has to come back to me with 5 to 10 takeaways of what he learned in that podcast. Because to me, if he learns these things that I'm learning, right, what I just started learning 6 years ago, if he can start learning that shit at 13,
dude,
by the time he's 18, he's going to be a fucking stud.
Yeah.
And he's going to be getting paid because he's smart as shit kid. Got his smarts from his mom, like his school, like he's super smart, I'm always like, dude, you're such a very like an A+ all of AC, But like, so now it's like, I just told him this morning, I'm like, I want to make sure that that like you need to get paid for your knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And you're only 13 right now. You don't have any knowledge yet. But like the more you learn right now, outside of your school work and all the bullshit they want you to learn, you need to start learning this type of stuff. Strong mindset, what winning really fucking looks like. No participation trophies, all this shit.
Yeah.
Like if you start learning and implementing this now, dude, you're going to be light years ahead of your buddies when you're fucking 17, 18 years old.
I love that, man.
Yeah.
So
that little leadership thing, that's the way I'm thinking right now. It's like I'm even trying to instill these leadership things in 13-year-olds, that I've coached. It's like, and that's what I tell the boys all the time. Like when they're at my house, it's like, oh, you guys are saying X, Y, and Z. I'm like, would a fucking strong leader say that stuff about that person? They're like, well, no, not really. I'm like, so why are you guys? You guys can all influence and you guys can all be leaders, and I consider you guys leaders. But when you talk that way about certain people, even if you're joking, that's not what we do. You know what I mean? So just like taking little pokes at them as they grow from a young age, hopefully will fucking something on.
Man, I'm gonna be honest, bro. Like I really enjoyed this fucking conversation, man. Like I have a 9-year-old son, so like a lot of this conversation we've been talking about hits a lot of home for me, and sometimes I get lost on like how to really direct my son in the right direction, especially when I'm learning and I'm trying to do this and do that. And so I try to teach my son my ways. Right. But I mean, obviously, it gets a little bit headbutting, right? But like, so I really appreciate you saying that, bro. It means a lot,
Sure.
And
the biggest thing that I can be is every kid's different. Nobody has a manual on parenting. The shit that, like, once again, this fake ass shit you see online of like everything's perfect. Dude, parenting is so fucking hard, dude. That is the hardest job in the world, because all you're doing as a business owner is like really, and a manager or a leader of a company, you're just babysitting, like a high paid babysit. Got that. So like having your own kids, like that's something completely different, dude. And like the one thing that I suggest to all my friends that are having kids or like younger kids is like, start being consistent with them right now, because they remember everything. You know what I mean? If you tell them you're going to shoot basketball with them, you better fucking shoot basketball with them. If you don't want to shoot basketball with them, just say not tonight. You know what I mean? Like, don't give them these empty promises, because they're going to remember that shit, and get them implemented. I wish I would have not forced my son, because I was forced to do so many things sports wise and stuff like that, me growing up. So I started resisting. But I do wish I would have started implementing some things sooner off with him. But luckily, I'm lucky because he has such a strong mindset, and he wants to play sports. He wants to wrestle. He wants to play football. I lucked out, right? But there's some kids that you need to shape and form into that.
Yeah.
So anybody with even daughters, like my 7-year-old daughter, she wants to box right now for some reason. And I'm like, that's gets you badass. They knock these little dudes out. Thank you. So it's like, but I'm gonna shape her and do this, and my wife does a great job of this too, into a strong little girl, which will shape into a strong female that won't take any shit, you know. So just kind of like letting them go the path that they're gonna go, but also like influencing and shaping them, but being consistent. And it's hard, dude. Like I don't want to play basketball with my son or throw the football with him every fucking night.
Yeah.
But I at least do it for 10 to 15 minutes a night, every single night, you know?
Consistency. And I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
That's smart, you know? Well, we talked about a lot of good stuff today. For those who don't know how to find you, Steve, can you go ahead and just let them know where they can find you at?
Yeah. So legacyhq.io is my website. We're just building it out right now. It's just a landing page, but more to come here in the next 20 to 30 days. You'll start seeing a lot more of the Freedom Business Liberation System and the Legacy Liberation System coming out. So check out, Instagram. I'm posting a bunch of stuff on there.
And don't get hurt if you don't like a video. Don't fucking comment. Just enjoy the video. That's it. So
Instagram, Stephen Herring Official. Same thing with all the other socials. It's the same thing, Stephen Herring Official. But yeah, the landing page is legacyhq.io.
Fuck yeah.
Check it out.
Yeah, I appreciate having you as a guest today, man. Fucking awesome episode. Thank you guys for connecting with us on the Central Coast Connection. Catch us next month. We're having a new guest. Not telling you who it is yet, but we'll find out here shortly. So thanks again, Steve. Appreciate you, man.
Appreciate you.